Welcome everyone. This is our self-installation of the Canyon Off-Road Rooftop tent and also the setup of the Canyon Rooftop tent. This is actually a redo of a previous old one, and there's going to be some details going through in the description, adding some extra info, so if you want to go through that you can. We'll also go through the setup and process and packing away process of the tent and putting the cover on and so forth. Now all this is thanks to PPD Performance and Canyon Off-Road, so make sure you go and check out their website. They do a lot of four-wheel drive modifications and accessories, and Canyon Off-Road provide their camping accessories, which is their rooftop tents, and I also have an awning from them as well, which has been fantastic. I also want to say a big shout out and thank you to only 2 Patreon supporters who have jumped on board. If you don't know anything about Patreon or what it involves, there's a link in the description below, but essentially there's a lot of benefits for you if you jump on board our Patreon team, and also helps us continue to create the content that we do. And I just want to point out here in this graph that you can see that a lot of people that watch our videos don't actually subscribe. So if you do like our videos, please subscribe. It helps us continue to create our content, helps us grow. Not to mention, we are going to be doing a massive giveaway when we hit 1,000. So we'll give you some details on that as we get closer. So getting stuck into the actual installation process. So in the box, inside the tent, you actually get all the bits and pieces. So you open up the box, you end up looking at this, and then when you open it up, you'll end up with all the information. Now this is the actual instructions that you actually get with the rooftop tent. Now I've got to say, now this is an improvement over the tubrack installation instructions. Much better. The only difference is I think it's a little bit out of date, because the detail about what's included and some of the bits and pieces don't correlate with what you get, so I had to guess a little bit there. So as you can see, you obviously can tell these are aluminium braces here. These are what screw down to the frame of your base of your rooftop tent. Those are the brackets that hold it down. Those are plastic rubbers you put on the end of your aluminium braces. These are all the bolts and washers and nuts that come together, and that's just opening it up so I can get everything out of the inside of the tent and go through everything on the inside, and actually have to tip it over because it was in the wrong, it was actually upside down to enable me to get to everything that I needed to. I needed to be on access to the base so I could get access to those holes to put brace on. So I'm just sorting out what's actually inside here. So you can see here I'm putting all the brackets to the side, and those are the brackets that hold that down onto your actual car in any case. Those are the rubber things I'm talking about you put at the end of the aluminium braces. I'm pointing here towards the nuts and bolts, and then finally I circle some other different nuts and bolts, because there's 2 types, and one has a different size washer, but the nuts and the bolts are the exact same, and they're all as I mentioned, they're all the braces. So the braces are all together, they make sense. So with this, these ones make sense. These aluminium poles, they make sense. There's a hole at the bottom with a little bit of a leg room that you've got, and then this is me trying to figure out that you can see the hole on one side, but you couldn't see it underneath, so you have to move the mattress down and you have to look underneath. And at first I couldn't quite see it. It took me a little bit to figure it out, and then I found those QC Pass stickers, and then when you take them off, you notice there's this, which is obviously the drilled hole that they've made. So those, look for those QC Pass stickers. You can see them in there, just there. Sorry, the head cam shakes around. I've just moved that out. That's the bolt I'm using. You can see just there for a flash of a second. The washer size was actually quite large, and I used the larger size washers because the bolts and the nuts are exactly the same. There was, I think, eight in total of both, but the washers were different. So I assume the bigger washers were for the base of the rooftop tent. If you wanted to grab more of it, that would make sense. And then you obviously had to go through, match the holes up with the metal aluminium brace, and then you run the little nut through, and then you push up the bolt from underneath, like I'm doing through here at the moment. And when you push the nut through, the nut's only big enough to slide in, so it doesn't turn, so you don't need to hold it. All you need to do is do the nut up from the inside. So really that's simple. It's not that very difficult to do that part, so I won't go on through and show you doing it all the time. This is the same for the ladder. All you do is removing all the QC Pass stickers, and you'll see there's two places there, and then there's two places a bit further down, and these are all designed so that you can attach the ladder brackets, which you can see I'm doing now. So they go through the metal on metal, so I assumed because it's on metal that it won't need big washers. So all you do is you do them up. So you hold one side and you just do the other side up. It's pretty much very simple, that process. And then there's you can see on the very end of that bracket there is that the arrow is pointing at now. That's what you use to actually attach the ladder on. So that's actually on the bracket itself. And then once you've done all that and you've tightened it all up, all you've got to do is lift it up and place it on top of wherever you want to put it on your vehicle. For me, I want it on my tubrack, and I want it in this position, so that's where I put it. You can put it pretty much anywhere you want, as long as it's going to go on how you want it. It's easy with two people. I did manage it once with one, but it looked really, really awkward, so I didn't record it. It looked ridiculous me doing it by myself, so it's much easier if you get someone else to give you a hand to lift it up, especially if it's higher than just the tubrack height. At the moment, what I'm trying to do is I'm putting those brackets on. They go either side of those rails, because you don't want that one where everything flies away. So it's very important that that all this is done up correctly and tight. So you slide it through the metal, the aluminium braces there. They're designed to slide in nice and easy, and then all you have to do is lift it up and then slide it past the rail, so you've got one either side of the rail. As you can see in the image, you can see those either side of the rail, and they're nice long pieces, and they're designed so they don't turn. So what happens is you have this nice long metal thing that I've got in my left hand, you can see with the watch, and now I'm putting a little nut on one side, and I just finger tighten that section up, and you can see it hanging down, and then I just grab it and then I put it through the other bolt on the other side, and I finger tighten it up so it's done up, and then I can tighten it with a actual spanner. So that's that bracket fully done up and tight in place. Has two different holes on it, so depending on the size you can have it at different lengths, so depending on the situation. So there's 4 of those that go, 2 on the front, 2 on the rear. This is the ladder, so you take the bolt off. I was silly enough, see there, I had to push it back through, and then you tighten it back up on the other side. I was silly enough to get all excited, put it on, and then realise, oh crap, I didn't put my ladder on, so I had to do it while I was on there. It wasn't that hard because it's a ute, so it's not hard, but I recommend doing it before you do what I do. But when you close it, do it like this with the ladder at full extension. It does make your job much easier. And as you see later, when I actually compress the ladder, I close it. Don't do that. Well, you can do it, it just makes it harder. And then when it's done up, you see the bottom rung will sit on a foam, so it doesn't damage your actual rooftop tent. And these here are designed to, they loop through and tighten up the front section of the rooftop tent. So it just tightens it down before you have to put the cover on. Now, before you go putting the cover on, you unzip a portion of it, and then you feed through one side of the cover. Now this is a really fantastic feature. It feeds through one side and it hangs down like this. So when you've got it open, it actually is hanging down like that. And then when you set it up, there'll be this bit that you've unzipped from the actual cover, and this gets threaded all the way around the rooftop tent from where we started all the way to the other side. And the reason we do that is because it's got a zipper on it, and you basically there's a zipper right there at the start, and you basically go around and you zip it all up as you go around the outside. So just be careful as you go around. You can see me lifting it up here, especially on the corners, just to make it a bit easy to get around those corners. And I just poke any bits of the tenting back inside so I don't catch it with the actual zipper. And if I do catch it, I just take it back and make sure it's poked in. So that zipper is fantastic because it stops it billowing up, stops getting dust inside, keeps it all waterproof, and it's a fantastic feature. And then all you do is put the straps down to help just basically hold it down. But it's really the zippers that do a lot of that work, and there's two Velcro tabs on the end that just basically then helps hold it all in place. And then all I do is this, where I tie it off like that, so it's all nice and neat and it doesn't flap around as I drive. So that's the actual installation. If you can, it's quite easy to do that. So now we're looking at setting the tent up. So you undo these little both of the straps. I actually hadn't had the rooftop tent cover in place for this first time that I opened it up. But yeah, normally it's just take the rooftop tent off. Then you extend the ladder full out. I usually leave it at this state, and if you see the video where I look at the features and I go through a review, you'll actually see this footage again. So I apologise for that, but if you haven't, this goes through a lot more detail, both through the opening it up but also packing it away and giving you a different viewpoint of it as well. And so you have the front and the rear section. You have this front door here, which you can either peg out with the ropes and pegs, or you can roll up and toggle. Obviously there's fly screen on the behind everything, so you can undo and all of that if you really want to, but I leave the fly screen up. These are the side windows. You can do it from inside or outside of the vehicle. It doesn't, inside or outside of the actual tent itself. When you put these metal poles in, there's a little gap, and then inside you'll see there's an actual hole that's been drilled at an angle. So you poke those metal poles in the angle that it actually goes in until it doesn't go any further. And there's a little metal dig, and if you keep it in this position, you'll know that the hook at the other end is at that position, and will then bend up like this, and it'll go into the ringlets, and it'll hold all that tent nice and tight. Every window will be held in a tight portion. And what I really like about this portion with this rooftop tent is its timings to pack things back away. And like I said, like fast set up and fast pack away. So I average 5 minutes less in basic setup time, and 10 minutes if I want to have a full setup with all the windows and everything opened up. Same goes in reverse to pack it back away, would be the timings. So as you can see, once you take all the bits out, you toggle everything back down. I'm actually indicating these, and I talked about this in the video when I looked at the features. Those arrows are pointing to there are black straps that you can actually pull to tighten around the metal frame of the tent on the inside. So that tightens it up. So when you actually have it in full setup mode, you can pull those to tighten it up more so it doesn't flap. And this is what I said when I said don't fold it down with the ladder so close, because it just makes your job a little bit harder. You can do it, but it just makes the job harder. so that's incorrect by me doing it that way, that's all. But yeah, so that's it, getting packed away, and then all you got to do is just chuck the cover back on, and as I mentioned, once you've done the zipper portion, all you do is you just flop it back over the top, go around, zip up the outside, and throw over the straps, pull them down, and I like to nicely tie them off like you saw in the picture, and so they don't flap around, but that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Big thank you to our Patreon supporters, and if you want to check that out, as I mentioned, link in the description. If you like the video, make sure you hit like and subscribe, and thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in our next video. Thank you.